right, we're like there. Hopefully people can see us and stuff. I don't see anyone in the chat, but like
Oh, it's
this
moving.
this doesn't tell me if
Yeah.
anyone's there. I don't know. Can you see if anyone's in the chat? You have it open.
I have it open, and it looks like we got 9 people.
That's enough. Oh, you said you were gonna turn the volume off,
Yeah.
Land.
I know.
You lied to me.
Yep.
This is not a good way to start. Oh hey,
I mean,
what's
I
up,
am a
Valis?
Canadian.
I thought you guys were supposed to be polite and shit. You no? Okay. Is that also a lie? Is that also a lie? No. What's up,
This is hard
Valis?
watching it on the stream because it's delayed.
Yeah, it's super delayed. It's not great. What's up, Valis? What's up, Julie? What's up, Royalty? Thank you for the subs, people. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before we get to the main stuff, I want to go over some news about what's been happening in bohurt in general. I'm trying to be a little bit more professional with this shit. So, in case you didn't catch it, the Warlords did did a live stream with 3 pro fights. 2 of them were fucking excellent, and the middle one was very good. It wasn't, up to the level of the other 2, but it was still a very entertaining fight. So highly
done over Facebook.
They were done over Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook Live, because that's where we're at. But it was still actually a pretty good stream. Couple of audio issues, that's where we're at this point.
Boy, Tiger Shady should be helping us with that soon, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
How's it going, man?
Hey, what's up, Chris? That is the plan. There was also a Knights Hall set of fights on Saturday. A bunch of duels on there. Some good fights in there too. So check that out on the Knights Hall Twitch. We were working. We added a bunch of new stuff. We had like interviews and shit. A couple of technical issues on that too because it was our first time through this new thing. So stuff is getting better on the domestic side on streaming, and that's awesome. But we're definitely still in the early days. But like, hopefully we're getting better and better.
Growing pains.
Yeah. I love bohurt.
It's still much better than just a cell phone.
Yeah, just the Reno live stream. Did you even see that? Oh god.
I've done that in my tournaments and like destroyed my data because I've just been like, I need to share stuff. I'm in the middle of the woods and we're fighting.
Surprised you get data out there. I love bohurt. That's Dan's blog. Has a Danielle. If you don't on Facebook, or Dan Krug. It's a dope fighter dude who's been putting out a lot of great content. He put out a series breaking down the tactics and what happened in all of the Carnage fights in very simple terms. So very great for beginners to go read that, and even if you're, high level, it's worth to look at someone else's take on it. So go read that blog.
It's a good way to start thinking about analysis of fights. Like, it was great for that.
Yeah, it was actually like a really good breakdown. Also, their training camp for April is full, so if you were hoping to go, sucks to be you. But that's cool stuff. The ACS calendar is up and live. Anyone can submit events to it, and any events. You don't have to submit ACS events. You can submit HMB events. You can submit whatever you want. If you submit your birthday party, they'll probably like flag it and say no, unless it's a bohurt birthday party. Yeah. But yeah, everyone has been asking for a central place. We have one now. Let's fucking use it, people. Knights Hall schedule is all up there, so if you're interested in what we're doing, in particular if you're interested in Rookie Rumble, that will tell you about it, and you can go read up on it, and that's good because like it's up to 2 years now. If you've been in the sport for 2 years, you can go to it. So that's a lot of fighters, and a lot of fighters who lost a year of fighting, basically. Highly recommend coming out here. You'll get to fight with people closer to your level, whatever your level is. And you don't have to worry about Creedikin coming and like murdering you. Yes, that's what I got for news. Land, you pay way more attention to like the world because I'm a dumb American. Is there anything going on?
This weekend in Argentina was a really great series of WFC fights that were live streamed, and there was a lot of really good fights there. I recommend people going and checking that out. It's,
where?
Argentina.
No.
CAF.
Where online?
Is the
Where online?
on Facebook. CAF. I'll find the link and share that in the chat for people. Yeah, not a lot else really this week that I saw. In Canada, everything's still so mixed with COVID restrictions that most places are not able to do all that much at all. I have sneaky backyard bohurts happening weekly because we just have our small little bubble that does it.
Don't tell the government, though.
We're okay. We're within our numbers.
Oh, are you?
Sometimes you can find them on TikTok. Yeah.
I know Bear's like, I'm trying to sneak out and go to my gym. Don't tell anybody. Also, like, I can say this because he said it on the stream.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the news. I have no idea what a cancellation list is, Chris, so I don't know.
I think that was in reference to the schedule of the ACS calendar, if they could also include something of events that were supposed to happen but are being canceled so people know what's going on.
That's a great idea. You should message Brian Chabot, who I believe you know, because I'm not going to do that because I'm going to forget in about 2 minutes. Anyway, Len, who are you? Why do you matter?
So I'm formerly of the company The White Wolf, the Yukon Club in the far north. Used to be one of the biggest clubs in Canada. I've been the Team Canada IMCF captain since Canada started attending World IMCF in 2016 at Portugal. And I'm kind of the guy that's just tries to be connected to everybody, pay attention to the scene everywhere, and know people.
You do seem to know, like, literally everyone. It's wild.
It's my job.
It's literally my job. All right. So today, I wanted to talk about, it will probably be a wandering conversation, but Land at one point brought up this idea of resurrection battles in one of the chats on the stream, and I was like, come on and let's talk about it. And that was like months ago, so I don't even know what that is. But since then, we've talked about a couple of different things. He's in the Dueling League. If you don't know what that is, there's a HMB Dueling League in America going on. It's on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So he's in that chat. So we're going to talk about sort of alternative rule sets, where we think the sport is going and stuff.
So I think you and Bear talking on Saturday really hit upon something when we talk about alternative rule sets.
Bro, I didn't even get to talk about the second topic.
Well, just a sec.
Okay.
I think we need to think about there's a difference between rule sets and formats.
You're right.
And I think this is a different distinction we need to start making, I think.
That's a valid point, and we'll get into pedantic definitions later, because that's my favorite thing. Because I love it. But yeah, we're also, Land is super good at making bohurt happen where no one lives. And like you said, Company White Wolf was one of the biggest. Was it the biggest, or
it was?
Yeah.
Like several clubs and stuff, but I'd say we were comparable to the same amount of fighters in Quebec, and they've been doing it since like 2011 or something. And
also has a much higher population density. So
we have 40,000 people.
And like you showed up in I keep wanting to say Newfoundland, and I feel like that's not actually it. Nova Scotia. Yeah, I know geography. Does it help that I don't know American geography equally? Like, does that make it? It doesn't make it better? Okay.
It doesn't. Because I have a reasonable handle on American geography.
Yeah, foreigners are smarter than Americans. It's well known.
Testify.
So anyway, So what happened? Oh, you're back. Are you back?
We're back. I'm here.
All right.
I just saw the screen. How it hit go. Oh, it says my internet connection's unstable. Unusual.
Yeah. No. What are you doing? And also, as soon as you showed up in Nova Scotia, there have been a bunch of fighters talking about it there, and nothing ever happened, and now you're training with people.
Yeah, so Yeah, we can get into that later too.
Yeah,
So,
that's the side topic. How land just makes fighting happen everywhere.
yeah.
But yeah, so let's go into that point that you wanted to start with, the format versus rule set. So like,
Yeah. So a big thing to me, I read through most of your two surveys, and there was you disagree with me about a lot of comments about people not quite getting rules or rules changing between things. And I've noticed that like in the ACL, there was like little tweaks of different rules from IMCF. And so then like people go overseas and they're like, what? That's not how we did it, sort of thing. And so, I'm like, we have two rule sets. We have IMCF and HMB. And currently we're having a big discussion online with the new shield rules that ACS is dropping.
oh yeah, we should get into that. We should definitely get into that.
I feel like it's the Americana of America thinking they're the center of the universe, so they could just start making their own as well. But like we have two rule sets, so let's stick with those. But then we can do different formatted events. So maybe you need to like, I know you're calling it an ACS Sword and Shield duel, but everyone else think of Sword and Shield duels as IMCF and HMB. So maybe there needs to be a different kind of name for it, kind of thing. And it can happen in a different format, but not like.
What do you mean by format? Define format. Right,
format,
you're talking about definitions here, so like, define your terms.
To me is like the different duels, like categories, basically, and like, when we have bohurt as our 5-on-5, 10-on-10, 12-on-12, 30-on-30, that kind of thing.
Right.
But then we're also going to talk about like scenario type games and those kind of things. And so those, as long as we follow like our rule set, we can start doing those things, which provide us like that guidance on how to engage each other in the list, I guess.
So a format is the type of thing you're doing, right? So if I wanted to let's say I wanted to use HMB rules, like allowing list grabbing and all that stuff, but I wanted to say allow kicks to the knee, I would have to call it something else. I'd have to say this is now knee bohurt, knee hurt.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what you're saying?
But
all right, so wait. Okay. So and rule sets are the actual set of rules that we have.
Yeah.
That make up that make up the formats.
Yeah. I was thinking about like some of those examples being like where you guys would change requirements for armor. Sort of thing. Yeah. And then people would be like, oh. And the ACL is now defunct, and I'm going to use that as an example, so I don't point at any modern day organizations.
Oh, you don't what? But you're not going to call someone out? Call someone out. You scared? You're leaving that for me?
I'm Canadian. I'm polite.
Bear isn't.
He's a Quebecois.
Oh man, you keep freezing on me, buddy.
Do I?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's my stream or not, but I hope it's on your side, because then that means at least they're getting stuff. And them. You guys. Yeah. You guys who we do this for. It's not true. Landon and I would probably talk if no one was watching. Yeah. We just wouldn't have these cool backgrounds. I have a painting. He has a fire. Yeah. He has a shield.
Yeah. Should I stoke the fire?
You should. You should stoke the fire in your. But you got to show us your taco boxes if you do it. Oh wait, there's like a way to like have people tip us. I don't understand Twitch, but like that's a thing that we should have had. Yeah. So like if they tipped us, Land would show his taco boxers. But I didn't set it up, so sorry guys, you don't get to see Land's taco boxers.
How about if someone subs, then I'll do it.
Yeah, if someone subs, if we get a new sub, we'll get to see Land's taco boxers.
Yeah. Totally. So the resurrection format we were talking about was actually a training exercise, not a game. But I started to think about it in combination with how HMB Soft does their bohurt for the kids. So HMB Soft, their bohurt is just like not actually takedowns, but like a good strike kills you. You go back to your side, and it's 10-second count. And then you go back in, and it's 5 minutes. You've got a marshal watching each kid, and they're keeping track. And at the end of the time, it's like 50 to 45 kills kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That sounds dope.
So then rails for training, the meat grinder, this came from Igor Petrentiv of bohurt Technologies, is you do like 10, 20 minutes and you're in partners, and then you have like 5 or 10 sets of people in the list. And as soon as you die, you get back up and keep fighting. There's no camping bodies. So like as soon as you kill someone, you carry on. But like per train working with a partner, because then, as you and Bear were noticing that like saving your buddy in the bear paw tournament kind of stuff, like
so
that's
good.
what you need to work on.
So good.
Like we always talk about in our team, like, you get someone's got their hand over your head, just come up, don't start hitting that guy, take his hand off to let your buddy stand up, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But also
Oh, no.
a lot of times, sometimes you're like, I just want to sit down. Can you still hear me?
I heard that sometimes you want to just sit down.
Yeah, so sometimes when you're getting beat, like your brain is like, I've taken enough. Maybe I'll go a little easier with this throw. Like I'll accept it, kind of thing, right?
No.
But getting back up while you're in armor is really hard.
Yes.
Right? And it's exhausting.
Yeah. I agree with that. Oh no. You fucking You keep fucking going out. What happened? You're back. You're back.
I'm here. I see a good connection. Yeah.
Well, hey, people in chat, tell me if my stream is not coming up, so I know if I need to go try and fix something here. Because that's probably what's happening, and that's sad because I probably can't fix it.
Red Knight says that I'm the only one freezing, so apparently it's me.
Yeah, that's good. That's dope. Ha!
Blame Canada.
Fuck that, Canadian technology. That's what your socialism gets you. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good healthcare, but no internet. Yeah. You get to live, but you can't have Netflix occasionally. It'll pause once in a while.
Yeah, totally.
It's a worthwhile trade-off.
Yeah.
All right, so here's my
meat grinder can totally combine with that other style of like the HMB soft, and that could be a really good scenario to make people work on those kills faster, right? Like that ends your rail grind game that you despise, right? In which HMB in their like experimental rules, they're looking at some stuff kind of like this as well.
Yeah, I know. They're like, that's the thing.
Did you end up reading that? Because they're rules? Talking about line subs.
I don't know. I don't have access to the experimental rules. Wait, did you freeze again? Are you gone? All right, Lance gone, guys. All right, so Red Knight, I'm gonna talk to you since you're taking Lance's point about the ACS rule sets. I think you're taking it. I don't know. If you're actually agreeing with him or just explaining it, but that smile though. So here's the thing though, like, how is that any different than watching a sword and shield duel that is that's HMB and like it goes 1 round, and then watching the MCF and it's 3 rounds, or like a dude hits someone 16 times in the head but then gets blasted 1,000 times in the belly and then wins. Oh no! Oh, he fucked up my whole thing. I don't know how to make this work now. Land, you bastard. Maybe if I just make my window smaller. If I just make it smaller, will I be... I'm just like in 2 places. This is so bad. Oh god. Oh god. I need to get a different scene set up for this. I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. Leave the window? Alright. Goodbye. No, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this. Oh, hey, Lynn's back. Blame Canada. Hey! Oh, you're not back. So, but yeah, like, I don't oh, hey, you're still not back. Come on, man.
I'm here.
You are here.
I'm here.
All right. So I started going off on another thing. So I'm gonna finish my thing on that, and then we can cycle back. Oh, maybe not though. I just have this beautiful picture of your nose, and you're gone.
No, I'm here. I'm just trying to turn off your sound on the Twitch stream, but
Okay. I got to see if it's just.
close it.
All right. So I was saying I don't understand how your format thing, right, is any different than HMB Sword and Shield is different than IMCF Sword and Shield, and HMB 5-on-5s is different than IMCF 5-on-5s, right? So like why don't they change their names, right? And if they don't, and people can handle that, why can't we not? And and to bring it to other sports, tennis gets played on 3 different courts. No one has a problem understanding that. To take it to wrestling, high school wrestling has a completely different rule set than college wrestling, which is a completely different rule set than the Olympics, right? And that's your path of progression up. They're completely different. So why would we not? I don't even know if he's hearing any of this.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
So why would we be any different? Why do we need to say nope, we can't have different rules? Because that's too confusing when every other sport in the fucking world can make it work. And we already make it work. We already do that.
Said that Americans were confused.
Yeah, but that's not what they were confused about. Let's go over that thing. Do you know what 90% of the rules confusion was? It was how IMCF handles rail hooking. Not that rail hooking exists.
There was a lot of other pieces that were
authenticity. Authenticity was the other big one.
No, there were those two, but there was lots of people just being like, things are done different in America than overseas. There was quite a few comments.
How many were there?
I don't know.
Like 5? 5 out of 300?
It stood out to me.
Yeah, it stood out to you because that's what you're looking for. The point of this survey is to look at the actual data. So if you're not going to come with numbers, to my house.
I had to bring my PowerPoint presentation tonight.
Ooh, I mean, you don't. If you're going to talk about surveys, you do. You can't bring up numbers and data and not think I'm going to step. I'm definitely going to step. Here's the thing, right? And Red Knight just brought up. I think we keep. I feel like we keep fragmenting, and I think that's where you're really going. Is that a third rule set? We keep going in this other thing, and if eventually that is a problem, but America making their own rule set is not a significant problem than say America trying to make an international rule set, because that is a thing that's done in sport, right? And is really easy to say this is the domestic product. And another thing, right? Like the duels, if you want to fight IMCF duels, you should look up IMCF rules. Like that's on you as a fighter to go to the World Championship to know the rules, and HMB too, and then go fight the ACS duels, handicapped. Fight them like they're that. That's your training, right? Like,
except your opponent isn't going to be.
Yeah, you're fighting handicapped. You're fighting handicapped, and that's good training.
You're not training.
It is
because
yes, you are. When I fight SCA, when
you go to IMCF, I won't.
What? Sorry.
You're saying I'll have to accept getting shield punched, which I'm gonna have to learn how to defend against that. Which then when I go to Worlds, I won't have to. So I've wasted all this time training to defend in a certain way.
No. Because the shield punch is to the face is the only difference, right? And really all that is making sure you get better line control on a center thing. Anything coming down the center. And they can put that shield anywhere else. So learning how to block here is the same as learning how to block here. It doesn't change your defense at all. And also to your point about people will do that. I fight SCA, and in SCA, if you get legged, you're supposed to take a knee. I don't take a knee. Because I don't want to. Because I think it's dumb. And that doesn't change. That doesn't make my fighting worse in other things because I learned how to fight people on their knee. Now I have an extra tool in my toolbox in case people change level on me. Cool. Now I know how to deal with that. you don't get worse. That's like saying you're going to be worse at fighting Sword and Shield by learning HEMA and learning one-shot fights. You're not. You're going to be better at learning how your D works. What?
You need combos. Our whole sport is theater for the martials.
If you only do HEMA, you will definitely lose in our sport. But like going and learning one-shot hits and learning actual guards will make you way better, provided you're doing the regular bohurt training.
All right, I'm going to try and switch back to the PC and see if that works.
Uh-oh. What? Uh-oh. Are you leaving? Why are you leaving? What happened? It's just us again. Oh, he's back. All right.
I'm here still. I just wanted to try and switch.
I love fighting regardless of the rule says. What's that hat, though? Someone wants to know about your hat.
Right. Okay, so the hat is, you know how I know everybody in the sport? So imagine me being your team captain and you're in an event at like Worlds and you want to go home. You need something to be able to find me because I'm like the team dad.
Yeah.
So then like you can look across the whole crowd and like watch any video and you'll spot me in the background and stuff.
Nice. All right.
It stands out.
It's your thing. I feel like you need to like take a name like Land the Haberdasher Pearson or something. That's your fight name now. Fucking hooligans. Why are you calling us hooligans, Paul? Julie, we brought up authenticity because I'm never not gonna bring up authenticity. I'm never not gonna talk about it. I hate it.
Just get a good kit off the start and don't waste your money on shit.
Just don't go to HMB and waste your time.
And keep fighting at the Commonwealth Games instead of the Olympics.
Bruh, nothing we do is the Olympics. Fucking one person in the sport might be an Olympic athlete. One person, maybe, probably not.
Do you know what the Commonwealth Games are?
No.
Okay, so it's like the Olympics for the British Empire. So like,
right.
You know, this is how the Australians described it to me after they went to IMCF and Scone. They're like, it's really cool to win a good gold medal at the Commonwealth Games. Like, you're still a really good athlete, but still not the fucking Olympics.
Yeah, except
it's
not.
It's a limited
It's
pool.
not because it's not a good.
I'm not saying
it's not good
Olympics.
rules.
I'm just
it's
saying
not good rules. Like, why would you want to win? Like, that's going and winning crown at SCA. Cool, you won crown. Like, if you like SCA, that's great. But like, that's not a good sport. It's not. It's a great game. It's a fun game. It's not a good sport. HMB is a shitty sport. It's a shitty sport.
No.
It is.
No.
Rail grabbing's bad. All of their duels rules are terrible. Their pro fight scoring system is like the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, hands down, they can't make rules. They can enforce them way better than an IMCF, though. God damn, are they way better at that. When they're not being corrupt. But like, that's not happened that much recently.
No.
Not that much.
HMB was corrupt by the Russians. They made IMCF, which was corrupt by the Americans. So, you know.
What was the corruption of the Americans? Ooh.
What was it in,
I want to hear this.
What was it in Belmonte? Like, when someone, like, wasn't supposed to be on the list, but then, like, no. The rules say that they can go. And then after the fight, and the Americans won, it was like, oh, yeah, that guy shouldn't have been on the team, on the field.
I don't know. I don't remember that one. The only thing...
It was something like... I can't remember if it had to do with someone getting carded or someone was on a different, like, was on the 16s and someone was removed from the 10s and then they came and joined that.
It couldn't have been the 10s, but Belmonte didn't have... It was something... Belmont didn't have 10s yet.
It was something like that, like people's, like, switching between teams and, like, someone should have gone and fought a fight. Like,
so here's
should have been a man down.
Here's what I say about the IMCF. The IMCF is, they're bad. They're just not good. They're not corrupt. They're just not competent. They're just not competent.
They don't have the support, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. They don't have billionaires backing. Is he still involved at all?
I don't know. How I describe it is like HMB is, you know, somebody really likes it and their dad is either involved with oil and gas and minerals and has lots of money, or involved with the mafia, or it's the government is also involved, or because it's Russia, it's probably all three.
It was all three. I don't know if it still is at all because like I don't pay attention to HMB. I'm trying to be better.
You'll get good one day.
No, I won't. Because I don't want to learn shitty rules. I don't want to get. I don't fight on my knees, so I lose that CA. So I don't.
Here's the thing, Ringo. You can go to HMB and just not handicap yourself and just not random grab.
Yeah, and I won't end up going to Botan, which is fine because Botan's dumb, and I'd have to get a kit, and I'm not gonna do that either. So like, you're right. I won't get good. No, you're not, Ringo. I don't know what you're talking about, Paul. I'm probably something. Anyway, so like, all that said, all of my bitching about all of that, there is
a good rule set.
So like that's the thing. It is allowing shield punching to the face and kicks are a better rule set. It's easier to call. Like what's the difference between a press with a shield on the face and a punch? Because I've seen punches called presses and I've seen presses called punches.
I've just like never interacted really with the face with the shield.
That's the thing you should do as a fighter. That's the smart thing to do so you don't get called. But like, also, why not do it? Like, why not shield flash? And like, if someone runs in and presses into your shield and you brush off, is that a punch? What if they step back a little bit when you brush them off? Does that become a punch? It's just a bad rule. Kicks.
I mean, it's the same as 1, 2,
You're right.
3.
That's also a bad rule. 100%. That's a bad rule. That's a shitty rule. I've said it 100% of the time.
Red Knight. It's a small, very vocal minority. I feel has that viewpoint.
I think
they get a lot of screen time.
Yeah, I think it's literally me and Mikey and Mikey because he posts on my shit.
Yeah, and it's like. But I've seen other people comment how it's like they're new getting into the sport and they're like, it does feel detrimental because they're like hearing this from the veterans. And it's like, then they find out there's like a whole other world that they were like, oh, I could do these things too, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, but like, I'm not going to tell people to go do heroin either. Like, I don't tell people to do shitty things. A lot of people love heroin.
I don't know, like, you're gonna go one day and you're gonna be like, I've been missing out. This was amazing.
I doubt it. I'm gonna be like,
you're gonna eat my hat.
I'll be like, this is exactly what I think it is. It's a giant tournament full of amazing fighters that wants to be a festival. It's Penzik, but not as cool because I don't get to hang out with like and just sit around my fire. Like Penzik is dope, and if Botan could be Penzik, maybe I would go. But then also, it wouldn't be a great sport. Like, that's the thing. And this is one of the other things. All right, we're not talking about my problems with HB. We're talking about rule sets. And so I do acknowledge the fractional thing. I think that there's a place for it. And your point that, like, about naming might be valid. But, like, I just don't think that that's on us to push that when IMCF and HMB already fuck up the naming. Yeah. And like people can handle that. So like if the sport wants to like find something else, and like HMB even says like that's the sport is historical medieval battle. So it's a different sport. We're not playing HMB. And like that's fine. So like why do we have to kowtow to this idea if we don't want to play that sport?
And I guess like the other pieces like I'm thinking about that is in that same smaller vocal minority about AC being bad is also I'm seeing a lot of the general American fighters don't want to travel internationally, but that's not the feeling I get actually from your general populace.
Did you read my survey though? 50% of the people do not have plans to go fight internationally in the next 3 years.
Yes.
In the next 3 years. Right? That's a long way off.
Totally.
Right? That's 50%. And like, don't forget, it's a survey. So that means people are clicking and saying, yeah, I want to go. How many people do you know who were like, I'm going, and then didn't go?
How many world championships have I gone to with 5 people?
Yeah, that's my point. Most people don't end up going.
Supposed to be 10 that year.
Most people don't end up going.
Totally.
So like, that 50% is really 75%.
Probably.
So, yeah, most of the people... and let's go to the next one where when I asked what people were interested in, and something like 30% of the people just wanted to go. They just want to be there. They don't care about doing good. They don't care about being in any specific tournament.
So that was in Boston because they had the 21s and now the 30. Those used to be the fight tourists, right? Like they would make like the big team just so they could go.
Yeah. So I think all in alls is a great thing in IMCF. Does Boston do all in alls? I know they used to.
Not so much anymore because there's just so much in the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. And
there was a women's all in all last year, or 2019, I guess. But yeah.
So and like I think that's a thing that I think we need to make a Boston-esque tournament that is for the fight tourists that isn't Boston. And isn't the IMCF either. Maybe the IMCF should go into their rules, knock off HMB, and make that their thing. Make it deliberately for fight tourists. I don't know.
I thought after Ukraine, Andre was going to make that. Like, he was going to make an international tournament in Europe for Americans to go to. And, like, there's that tournament in England this year that they're doing.
Is there that tournament in England this year that they're doing?
My one boy here, who's, like, good friends with Andre, keeps asking, like, should I go to England? I'm like, there's not going to be a tournament in England.
Yeah, that's very unlikely, especially during the fucking Rona. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry about that, buddy. Your buddy.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we agree that there is an issue in that, like, it can get confusing if people represent things poorly. And I do think that their ACS may have to step up in saying, we are making a thing for Americans, but I think they are. Like, I think that's very vocal from ACS leadership. At least that's what I see, but also this is that bias, right? So, like, I see that, but in the same way you saw, like, 5 people say that maybe I'm just seeing this thing, and they aren't, and maybe they're not. And and that might be a thing that needs to step up. I don't think that we need to change the name, but that's a thing that we should, like, poll people on, and, like, hey, should we change our names about these sports if we're gonna do different things? And, like, I will admit that's a significant difference. So as much as I'm a hardliner, I will yield a little.
All right. I think it's also that my bias is, like, the point is going and getting good to try and represent your country.
Right.
And, like, you need to build a great grassroots to be able to make those awesome teams. But the goal is this is a sport competing at an international level, and we have 2 international organizations. So why fuzzy it up?
So that's the thing. I think either you or someone in the chat said, like, Americans. I think it was you. Yeah, like, we're trying to make our own thing, and, like, we are, though, because, like, I don't think most people actually want to go overseas. I think most people want to go overseas because it's cool. And then, but, like, that's a lot of money, and, like, you can do cool night shit here. And while
did you get any subs yet? Like, I want to stoke the fire, and I need to take my pants off to do that, right?
Someone did a thing that highlighted a comment. That's like a sub.
No tacos.
Sorry, boys and girls and everyone in the chat. Maybe someone did sub. I don't know. It doesn't show up in my chat, I don't think. How do I tell if people subbed? I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I'm sorry if I robbed you of his taco boxes. Oh, you can see him peeking. Did you see them peeking out? Yeah.
Yeah.
I see you. I see you giving the tease land. Yeah.
Cans.com.
And, like, I know a lot of people who just talk about they think that, like, the sweaty tryhard American league is too much. Like, trying to, like, push it the way a bunch of people like me try to push it is too much. Oh, we just got a sub. Hannah's in. Right. She's glad you're wearing boxers.
What's that? I need to, like,
thank you, Pink Panther, with the save. Oh my god, so good.
My parents are probably watching right now.
I hope so. It's a good butt, man. It's a good butt.
It's a Pearson butt. They're solid.
Ooh. Lake has a good butt too.
Yeah.
Good to know.
My mom is like a hockey mom. Like when we're fighting overseas, she gets up in the middle of the night and like watches everything.
That's so
and she'll
cute.
like whenever we have events in Whitehorse, she'd be out watching and stuff. Like, because that's how I would try and build our club. It's just like get up to everything so people can see us. So like the first year we went to Worlds, we were hired by a theater festival to just do pop-up battles to draw people in, and then they could promote that this festival was going on, kind of thing.
Huh.
So we'd be like on Main Street, me and my brother show up and just start fighting, and then like people are like, "What's going on?" And it's like, "Come check out the Magnetic North Theater Festival. There's this cool play and stuff." And like my mom would drag my dad to watch all those fights.
We're gonna go watch our son pimp himself out for views.
Oh, Hannah. Do you need me to get a picture of Lake's butt?
I think she does.
I think so.
So back to the rules though. Yeah, there are a bunch of people who don't want to who even think that like a lot of the sweaty tryhards that we do and the travel that we push is too much. And they just want to go fuck around and fight with their friends. And there's other people who just want to like do chapter matches. And like these are things that I didn't think this was a thing when I started. I thought it was all overseas. And like I started coming to that when I saw other people be like, I don't really care about going over. And part of it also is my own burnout. That's part of why I'm so invested in America, is because I burned out doing it, and like it's hard, and I think a lot of other people are gonna burn out, and I've watched so many people burn out chasing this fucking goal.
Not that I look forward to the day, but I do think fondly of the day where I'm too old or too injured to fight and try and be like a top level athlete and can just coach and administer, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to be an elite athlete. I'm running, this would be like when I was back in the Yukon. I'm running the Yukon club. I'm often the one showing up to coach practice. I'm also trying to build the national organization.
You're trying to be an athlete in two categories, right? Because you dual and fives.
Oh yeah, and that's always my big thing. It's like, where should I devote my focus, right? Like, so the bottom that I went to in 2018, I did sword and shield duels in the morning, did 5 and 5s at lunch. We had 7, not 8, and I'm a list horse, so I don't miss a single round. Then we did 21s in the evenings on the HMBIA Red, where I think we only lost to Russia.
Nice.
And then I missed one of those fights, I think, because I was like fucking around with my chin strap and someone beat me in, kind of thing. And then the next day I did pro fights.
Nice.
They're the Don John Cup rules, so they're the baby pro fights, like 2 rounds of a minute and a half.
Yeah.
But it was tournament format, so I had 2 fights.
Hey, we were having a discussion. Did WCF go to 2-minute pro fight rules?
No, they have several different layers. I think 2 minute, I think, is challenger. So like the top level is 3 rounds of 3 minutes. Then there's the challenger, which is 3 rounds of 2 minutes, I think. And someone maybe could correct me if they see this. And then there's the Don John Cup rules, which are tournament style pro fights. So you're going to be fighting multiple opponents. So you don't want to go full out.
Invicta Ludus, thank you so much for the sub. Shouts out Pine Barrens, definitely. Speaking of Pine Barrens, check out Kraken's his blog talking all about how to run practices. I love that. It's a great step. We need that in the sport.
That's what I was talking about. I do all those things, and I'm like, I just need someone to like codify when we do practices, like just write down what we did so that if I don't show up, someone else can just open the book and pick one of the things out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't need to be codified, but just having a bunch of different practices laid out like Kraken is doing is like so helpful.
Yeah, exactly. And just like, there may be 1 or 2 missteps in drills, but just having them is so much better than my buddy used to say, the best workout is the one you do. So like, and overall, I haven't actually seen any drill I did not think, yeah, that looks pretty useful. So
like I constantly have all the stuff in my head, but I'm just pulling it out on the fly because I never prepare because I'm like do everything at the last minute kind of thing.
Oh, so $5?
And like, here we go.
Hold up, sorry. Pete, Bohurt Gorilla, is saying that he's putting $5 I'm not wearing pants. For real? If I put my PayPal up and I'm wearing pants, you're going to send it? Send it. This is really just an excuse to show my dick online. Let's be real.
So was it you were challenging me to the naked wrestling fight on the weekend?
Because I missed it.
Do you want that story?
What story? I know the naked wrestling story. I was there. I just wasn't there.
Where I got punched out by an Irishman?
Wait, I don't know this. I don't know this naked. This was in Denmark?
Yeah, so in Denmark.
It was in Denmark. I missed the fucking you getting punched out too? Okay, yeah, tell this. Sorry. I'm sorry.
So I think world champion had been decided.
I'm wearing slacks, business slacks. Sorry.
Totally.
Addicted to AA, gmail.com.
You should have dropped trout.
I'm not wearing boxers. I cannot drop trout.
So it was like 3 in the morning or something, and I just walked Jose back to our house, and I was going to my little pop-up tent that we had there in Denmark. And there's like all these people down in the duels list, and I think it was the Saturday night, so there was just finals the next day. Most people are done big partying, and I heard there was naked wrestling. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. Cool. And so someone else, like there's like some women just putting their clothes on beside me kind of thing, like their round had finished, and I'm like, all right, who's going in? And so like this Irish guy shows up, and they're like, okay, the only rule is no punching and no grabbing the dick. And so I get in there and like go to throw him, and he kind of drags me down, like suicides me a bit, and then we get back up and we're wrestling again, and then he just like out of nowhere like punches me right in the face. Like I've never been punched in the face before. I didn't know what that was like. I was bullied as a kid, but that was usually just like chucking me into like cement and stuff, like no actual like just like fisticuffs kind of thing. And like immediate shiner kind of thing. And so that was fun coming back from Worlds and like going to work and being like, that was not from sword fighting, that was from naked wrestling. So then I tried to find the guy the next day to be like, hey, what was up with that? And I guess he just like did not show up. Like he was like super embarrassed, is my understanding, like that the Irish had told me like that he did that.
That's amazing. That's so good. Have you been punched in the face since then?
Well, I do Muay Thai now, so like with gloves and stuff. Because us Canadians, we hit like kittens, so I need to work on my striking.
Yeah, I don't think you do. Fucking well, fuck, I can't remember his name. Saint Pierre, GSP. Fucking, why can't I remember his name? That dude fucking hits like a truck. What are you talking about?
No. Kirill came with us to IMCF in 2016. He's with Scalgrams, and he was like, you guys hit like kittens. And I think it was like a lost in translation because he's Ukrainian first, and I think he was trying to call us pussies.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. But it's like being in the Yukon, we don't get out to tournaments much, and so we don't want to hit our friends all that hard.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
It's challenging.
I don't get that.
Like.
No, you hit in soft kit.
Sorry.
You try to murder them and hope their armor works. I don't.
Yeah.
Pete, thank you for the sub. Sorry, I was wearing pants, buddy. I'm not that much of a degenerate as much as I act like it.
Hey, Kraken. I love your mustache.
Yeah, it's so good.
I can't wait for the day to meet you in person and like, just like wipe the crumbs from it.
I always want to scrap royalty, so like, let's go. I'll scrap with anyone, anytime, pretty much. It's really a bad choice on my part. But yeah, speaking of land, I challenge you to naked wrestling. We need to make this happen.
All right.
I'll go to Botan to naked wrestle you. I won't do real fighting, but I'll support my team and then naked wrestle you.
Cool. I know. I really think Botton's going to be postponed this year, but I still haven't canceled my room in Romania because I'm like, the world is going to somehow come together.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely postponed or possibly another.
Yeah, I think like put it off to another year.
Yeah. Yeah, which
it sucks, but it makes sense. Like,
yeah, it is what it is. I honestly, like, at current rate, I hope they do, because like we're not gonna be safe for that level of event.
No.
By then,
I mean, I'm hoping that like stuff in Canada can come together so we can like do some interprovincial training camps in the fall even, and don't know if that'll happen.
Speaking of, you could come to
hopefully come across the border
in August. In August, I'll bet you can come across the border, and if not, we can sneak you across. We'll figure it out,
dude. Like when
we can't sneak you back, we can sneak you into America though.
When COVID was at its prime and stuff with your political situation was like super tense, I was constantly sending like Hannah and Lilith like messages like, okay, so here I think like we could get you across this border crossing. Like, you guys can quarantine my garage. You know, you can be political refugees. I'll take care of you. And like other American sword fighters would see these comments and be like, wait, can I come too? So I was gonna build like this little like underground railroad of steel fighters to Canada.
And all of a sudden Nova Scotia becomes the new hotspot in North America.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're up to. Alright, I want to get back to that resurrection fight, right? So if I understand it right, it's someone goes down, they then go out of the list, come back, and they can come in immediately, or is there a time limit?
So in the actual resurrection, like the meat grinder, it was just stand up where you are kind of thing and start fighting right away kind of thing.
So night fight style.
Pairing it with the idea of what HMB Soft does, I think there is a like go back to your side or something like that.
Right.
And it is like martial intense because then you want to be like keeping track of those numbers kind of thing, because I think that would allow us to have that like, you know, there's just 5 minutes of fighting and who has the most kills in that, how many frags in that time.
I'm so about that, especially because it highlights one of my main problems with rail grabbing in the standard tournament format is not just that rail grabbing stalls the fight, but that stalling the fight itself is kind of a good tactic. And that it makes grappling so dominant, right? Grappling's already going to be dominant in our sport because armor is so effective. But when the only reason to hit a person is to make them move slightly or make them crumple, there aren't that many reasons to hit them. There isn't a point of jabbing people in the face a bunch. You don't do leg kicks to destroy people's legs like you see in MMA. But in the chapter match format that the Knights Hall popularized and used to happen a lot in the ACL, and hopefully we see it more this ACS. Hopefully for me. I don't know if anyone else cares.
Okay, do you want to like go over your current chapter match?
I am going to. But the point is, like,
because I have other thoughts on building on that.
Yeah. So, but the point is, it just makes that, because it's a longer slog, it makes it that hurting someone without injuring them, right? Like, actually, like, this hurts, I can't walk as well on my leg, is a valid fight tactic, and like that makes weapons more into the mix, which is why the Knights Hall ran so axe heavy. And then, like, the more we got into tourneys, the less well we did, particularly when we started getting into HMB tourneys, because it's so grapple heavy.
What's interesting, I was just thinking about, you know, how now we see bohurt crime just be like White Company, like grinding for 5 minutes, right? But if you go back a few years to like those tournaments in Prague, there was like Russia and Ukraine, there were some 8-minute fights where it's like just one guy left on each side, and they'd go over exhausted to the rail. And if they weren't progressing, the marshals had them center up. They'd bring them back out to the middle of the list. So it's old school, but I'm wondering like what has changed, or like, you know, is it that, now they're still seen as, like, I do judo, and so we talk about positive judo, like you're always doing something, like making a move. So I wonder if like people have changed how they do their rail grapple to be like that there's positive grappling always rather than just a clinch.
I think it's both. I think it's also partially the refs are a little bit more lenient on that. Because like you just don't see that often people break up slow, but also you do see a lot of little actions in the right. And like this might talk about in pro fights. Why I think knees are effective even if you can't land a great knee, because you're doing a little
you're still
bit.
Making action.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're showing aggression, right? Like ring control.
Right. So I think that's that. I think that's part of it. And I think if we were a little bit more strict on the martial intervention, which is not a thing I usually like, that would be a way. One of the many ways HMB could do it without changing their rules. There's lots of ways they can make it better without changing their rules. It is not just the rule set; it's the rule set plus the enforcement plus the format. So speaking of formats, the current chapter match format is a 4-quarter system. At the beginning of the quarter, you have a duel. You fight all 3 rounds of this duel. If someone ties,
all 3 rounds, not a best of 3.
It's not a best of 3. You're gonna fight all 3, and you don't continue on. Right, every round someone wins is a point. So if I win, if you're Team Canada and I'm Team America, I win round 1, I get a point. We tie, no points. You win round 3, you get a point. We're now 1-1. Now we go into the melee portion. The melee portion is, I don't have the times off the top of my head, but I believe it's 8 minutes of total time. And you sub out your line. You do your melee, and then you stand back up after the round ends. If you won the round, you get a point. So let's say our team wins, we get a point. The next time we all go down, no points. The third round grinds out till the very end, and then Team Canada takes it. Again, we're tied 2-2. We have a 10-minute break. We go to quarter 2. Quarter 2, we start with... quarter 2, we start...
Kraken's saying the remainder of 15 minutes.
Which should be 8 minutes. I think it has to be 9 minutes, Kraken, because they're supposed to pause time on non-active fighting. So, I think it's no long. Like, it's the remainder. That was the way it was written, but like they're now they're not running time out. So, like armor time shouldn't get placed into that or anything else. So it should always be the 3 minutes. Oh, is your fire going out? No. But yeah, so then you do quarter 2, which is the same thing. And then you have a 20-minute break for halftime, and then you come back for quarter 3 and quarter 4. Yeah.
And quarter 3 and 4 are
the same thing. It's the same thing.
So a set of duels and
then melees instead of duels, and then melees. There is no rule on how you select your duelist or your dueling weapon. Which is one of the things people have said they might be interested in seeing. And what's interesting about this is it means you can win on having a better dueling team, right? The Dark Knights won a couple of fights based on the fact that we had myself, Mikey, and Mike Lewich, who are all fairly decent duelists, and then we would just hang on in the melees.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So you could do well in the duels, knowing you've done well in the duels, and then you could play just a stalling game.
And then you can. That's true.
In the melee.
Yeah, you can go to the
or you've lost the duels, and so now you have to push really hard for those like super quick kills, like running people over in 15 seconds.
Yeah. But like, and the because it's timed as opposed to just a set number, the stalling
so the melees
game
have opportunity to be worth a lot more than duels.
Yes.
Like, because you could potentially get 10 points there.
Five.
But like, okay.
I actually think they added
or is there a cap?
I think there's a cap on how many rounds you can do, which I personally hate. I don't think that should be a rule. The way I think it should work is it's the first round is I don't know the order, but the first round is Sword and Shield. The first quarter is Sword and Shield. The second quarter is Longsword. The third quarter is Polearm. And then the fourth quarter, I would like to see it be a night fight format, but Sword and Buckler would probably be what most people would want, because like keep the duel idea. But either way, like that's that's how one of the things I would like to see, and I don't want to see the time. Apparently it caps at 5. That's what Chris is saying. I don't like that rule, but it is what it is.
So the reason why I'm interested in this is like I think about down the road, especially when you keep talking about how we're going to build this domestically, like tournaments are not sustainable. Like it's challenging to get all those people always like getting that time off, right? But it is easier to like. I think of us as an amateur sport, and that's where I think we belong.
We are.
I think
yes,
but that. How pro sports teams, like, you know, you have the football team that travels to the city for a game, and then they, you know, like those sort of like that sort of thing. So I think of chapter matches being that idea that like we need to make an hour and a half of entertainment for people, basically. And that's how we can get ourselves like that. I think worthwhile for you to travel up to Nova Scotia for the weekend to do a chapter match, and we fill an arena to watch that. We don't.
I don't. So yes, like I don't think. I think thinking about it with filling the arena is
not necessarily filling the arena.
Whatever,
but like that idea, right?
So making it interesting to the audience is an important aspect of chapter matches, but I don't think that's the main benefit, right? Because like, so I played a lot of amateur team sports. I used to play a lot of ultimate frisbee. I used to play a lot of...
this is my first team sport. It's still very weird to me.
I used to play a lot of soccer. I did a little bit with what's the one we did the flag football. And we would travel to different cities, right? Like in the winter we all went to the one place where you played indoors, but in the summer, and like we played against one team, and then you went home, and we didn't have audience. But like in the winter, you drove to wherever the thing was, and like because
you'd have a tournament, and I think we would still have tournaments.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. I'm not saying that they replaced them, but I think that, you know, right now we're at this challenge of like everyone wants to host a tournament, but then like not everyone's actually set up to host it, and like I think. Like you were talking about tennis, I think there's the opportunity of having like that the Knights Hall list is this shape, whereas the Carnage list is like way bigger, or is round, or short rails, or tall rails. Like I like that different surface idea. I think like once some key areas get established as they just host tournaments and they've got like that support to run a tournament, like that's what's so hard in our sport. Is building that community
right
to support what we want to do.
So, and like I think the East Coast is in a great position. You're a little too far out just due to the way Nova Scotia works. But Quebec is about 4 hours from and Montreal. Quebec and Montreal are like 2 hours away. 1 hour? I don't know. But then whichever one's souther, I think Montreal is like 4 hours to Nashua. Nashua is about 3 hours to New York. And then there's a team in between Nashua and New York anyway. But then New York is about 3 hours to
Philly.
South Jersey, whatever. It's like they're the Philly, but it's South Jersey.
So I just learned that talking to Paul the other day. Like in my mind, Jersey is like the area around the island of New York that's mainland. And so, like, I didn't realize how far South Jersey went.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Like, you're still better at geography than me, because I wouldn't understand that about anything. But like, I'm glad other people. Anyway,
Chris, I'm totally in. The problem is that ferry. Who knows if it'll keep running? Like, governments keep throwing money at it, and I don't know.
A battle on the ferry. That would be so dope, though.
Right.
Yeah, and then as Kraken just saying, NYC's 2 hours to him, and then from Jersey to Josh's place in Northern Virginia is about 3 hours. And then I think it gets a little bit farther to the next, which I think is Durham. Yeah, so I think that's a 4 or 5 hour to Durham, which isn't as big, and then like another 4 hours to PK, which is actually big. Oh no, you froze. What? No. Things were going so well. But it's just us again. Land's gone forever. I mean, hopefully not forever. Hopefully he's alive and well, and he's going to come back. Hopefully that wasn't his wife coming in. Hey!
Oh, there we go.
You're back.
You were frozen for me this time.
Yeah. I hope I was.
The Eastern Seaboard ended up being way bigger than I thought. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, I could cruise down to Carolina Carnage. I'm like, oh, it's 26 hours. That's a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, I still look forward to making a battle bus to go do that because that's the joy of being down here closer to people, right? It used to be 26 hours was like the nearest team for me.
Right. And so
and it had like 3 people.
Right. And so anyway, so the East Coast is I just want to finish this point. The East Coast is in a place where like you don't have like for New York to get to Southern Virginia is 8 hours, right? It's a long drive, but they don't have to go there because they can both go to Philly. And then Philly doesn't have to go to Nashua, and we don't have to go to Philly. We both go to New York, right? And like Quebec's a little fucked because they're the end, and who's ever in the Carolinas is fucked because they're the end. But like,
but for me, I've got Halifax and Ontario going to Quebec.
Yeah,
and also like I'm working on building a team in New Brunswick right now in Moncton.
Right, so
like that helps.
Quebec may no longer be the point then, right? Like I didn't know Ontario. Oh wait, Ontario's down here. They do. Yeah, that's where Scalagrove is, right? Yeah, they have a team.
Yeah.
Fuck. They have a fucking...
Yeah.
They have
you guys don't like to play with them or something.
One of their dudes is a dick and tried to choke me out. Deliberately nutted Jay. Like he literally put his...
talk about the axe?
The axe was legal. The axe is legal. So that's the thing. No. He put his shield under the brim of my helm and lifted up. That's illegal, right?
Well, it's not the hand. So is it grabbing the helmet? I don't know, dude. Like, because like all those dudes with kettle helms, how is that any different?
That's the brim. This is not. This is where your neck is. This is not where your neck is.
Yeah, but it's doing the same thing. If you pull on this piece, it's gonna pull the chin strap up just the same as pulling up a helmet.
So honestly, the pulling the chin strap up, I'm less worried about. Like that's on me for having a shitty chin strap. Like what I was mad about is that he's yanking on my helm in a way that like not only is this choking me, but if my chin strap fails, you're pulling my helmet off. This isn't a regular grapple. This is literally a pull. It's the same thing. I hate that we're allowed to grab armor and pull on it in ways that doesn't remove the armor. Like I don't fuck that. You just don't allow grabbing of the armor. So to me, it's the same bullshit.
Were you there when Romario like apologized for pulling my helm off in Botten?
No. Why would I? I wasn't in Botten.
No, but like. We had this conversation this summer when we were doing our like Star Wars games. Oh. I wasn't sure if it was like after that one time. I guess Romario has like for 3 years been like in his heart feeling so bad that he had pulled my helmet off in the 21s and like I had completely forgot about the experience. Yeah. Like we had to pull up the tape and look at it and like right after he pulls it off, I have a Pavis shield, which I like for some reason turn over upside down to try and cover my head as Dom is coming crashing down on top of me. And then more people on top of him.
Perfect.
Yeah, but he's been like feeling so guilty of like hooking his axe on my helmet and pulling my helmet off.
Yeah, well, maybe you should because it's a legal move. Like that's explicitly illegal. I'm pretty sure the shield is too because the haft is, so why would the shield not be? Regardless, and like I don't know, everyone says like everyone on his team said shit about him. So like I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either.
Otherwise, I love them. I love fight. Dom, fucking what the fuck is his name?
Etienne.
Etienne's on Scalariums?
No, well, sometimes when they travel.
Oh, he travels with them too? Yeah. Fucking love
it. He's like Dom. He's like the Quebec Scaldrum Smirks.
Yeah. I fucking love Etienne. I love their captain, Kirill, when he fought. Like, I have no issues with the team beyond that guy, and honestly, it's just that guy. So, like, we'll fight them. If they want to come do chapter matches, we'll fight them. I mean, we fought the guys everyone hates from Quebec. Nick's team. I don't fucking remember what it is.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, like we'll fight like pretty much everyone. Like we just don't like a certain rule set. And when I say we, I mean me and Mikey. Everyone else on the Executioners is down to do HMB. It's literally 2 people, and Mikey is the one who goes to HMB tournaments. So it's literally me.
Are you even actually fighting much these days? Like, where are you at?
I'm fighting a decent amount. Like I'm getting back into it, right? Obviously, like no one's fighting that much.
No.
But like I'm not sure I'm actually gonna try to be competitive anymore.
Yeah.
Like I burnt out hard. I burnt out super hard.
It's hard.
And that's why I'm super excited for this East Coast Chapter Wars thing. But to your point about when you lived 26 hours away from people, chapter matches are a hard thing when people aren't that close, right? Like where we are, we can make it work really well. And like, I still think people should push for it because it's an easier way to...
You know, you could like... It's just like I think some of those like ball sport teams, like they'll show up and they'll play they'll play 2 matches against each other, one on Friday, one on Saturday. So like, yeah, if my team goes over to Montreal, like we can have 2 different chapter matches on that weekend kind of thing and crank them out. And how is that any different than trying to crank through a tournament where you're probably actually going to get more fight time?
Right.
In this format. Which is what we want. We want flight hours in a competitive setting.
Exactly. And the other nice thing about this is I think it takes the pressure off getting time and kit, which I don't like time and kit as a main training tool because like you get sloppier in practice, I think, than you do in a match.
I think there's like when you're first in kit, there's like astronomical growth. But then there's a point where you plateau where it's like you don't really need time and kit except at tournaments, and then like that's when it's all the like unarmored stuff and all the extra things, the hard things to do, you know, that people don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like teams like Annabera, they're like, oh, we don't actually practice in our armor ever. But like, you know, at that point, I think they had a tournament every weekend.
That's the thing is, in order to do it, you have to be fighting, I'd say, at least once a month. But if you can make that happen, and like there'll be some places that can't, but there are others that can. And like you can also do mad travel to make it work. I heard about this group that's doing 7 hours to get a scrimmage in, a chapter match scrimmage. And like that's dope. Like that's not even for a fucking season. They just wanted to fight.
And you know, most of our team in Whitehorse or in the Yukon was in Whitehorse, which is the capital city, like 30,000 people of the 40,000. But we had a couple of guys in Dawson, 6 hours away. And then our captain lived in Mayo, like 5.5 hours away. And so once a month, they would come down for a weekend and we do like an intense training weekend where it's like 2 steel practices and 1 or 2 unarmored practices kind of thing.
Jesus.
And just like have mini training camps kind of thing.
That's and like I think that's a thing that the regions that aren't as populated need to maybe do a bit. But like, you know what you can cap that with? A chapter match, and you don't have to put together a full tournament to make that happen.
That's what I kept wanting to get to the point, like we were really close there, where like just making several, and I hate threes as a category, but making like 3 or 4 threes teams, and then making it like that's where, you know, local businesses could sponsor, and we have those sort of things, and it's like the P&M Crushers destroyed, you know, Super A Avengers this weekend, right?
100%. Like that's
and it's the giving it to the newspaper, because like the newspaper wants to report on us all the time. So like if we can give them stats that have little stories, like it's no different than the hockey games and stuff, right? Like that's, I think, kind of like where to get to.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we should be trying to push for, I think. And it's not. So threes suck, right? They're not that fun.
It's just it's 3 people doing one-on-ones.
Yeah, often. I mean, it isn't always. And like, but like, and like in it always goes less 1-on-1s the more people you add. 5s is still often 5 1-on-1s.
I still think 10s and 12s are the sweet spot, and that's where we're going to start seeing the game move too.
I think that's what everyone's going to want to fight once people can put more tournaments together, which is worrisome to me for the spectator idea, right? And that's not where I'm most focused on, but it is the thing where I am kind of focused on right now. Because one of the big things you get from casual spectators is it's hard to follow. Like, I don't know what's going on. And that becomes really clear at the 10s. And, like, it becomes super clear at the 20 and above. If I'm watching the right flank, I'm missing everything that's happening on the left flank. And if I'm watching the center, I might see what's going on there. And then that's just the line battle. Once it breaks apart, how are you going to follow that? And I don't know that we should try to fix that. I just wonder if we should try and make a sport that's for the fighters and a sport that's for the fans.
So do you hear that misunderstood, that like not knowing what's going on mostly from American spectators, or are you hearing that more globally?
I mean, let's be real, Land. I don't talk to global people.
Remember, America had to put a circle around the hockey puck for their show for hockey because they couldn't follow the puck. So
it might be. I mean, but like also America has the most team like we are a team sport country.
Yeah, totally.
And football is basically the most popular growing sport. Like cricket's more popular, and other football and European football is more popular, but neither of them are growing at the rate football is. American football is. So
crack in, you just need to recruit more people and also build good lists. You know?
He needs more space. It's not his list is fine. He just needs more space for it. That is a problem with 10s. But what we might see. But
you see in Bohurt League that they're allowing those bringing two teams together to be 12s. And they don't necessarily have to be that's the 12s team, and they can score points within the 12s ranking as their own teams.
Yeah.
So it is you bring 4 teams together and do your guys' paired off chapter match thing, and then those teams combine, and then you do some 10s chapter match.
Did you watch the Warlord tourney that the Knights Hall ever did?
Which one?
So the Warlord tourney. This is an SCA stolen alternative rule sets. Which is you have 2 fighters fight, and the winner of that fight is now the team captain of those 2 fighters. And then they fight another set of 2 fighters, and whichever team wins, the captain of that team is now the captain of that 4-man team. And you recruit the people you beat, and if you lose, you become recruited. And it goes up.
So it's like British Bulldog?
Ooh, maybe. I've never heard of this. Is it?
You've never played British Bulldog? It's you have a few people in the middle, and people are trying to get to the other side, and you have to take them down or whatever.
No, this sounds amazing.
And then they become part of your team, and then this people are just going back and forth, and you're just amoebaing them, slowly taking out people.
No, I've never heard of that. Sounds awesome. Hold up, there's a bunch of stuff going on in the chat.
Yeah.
Judo's the second most popular sport? Maybe. If ever I'm talking about the international, I'm way more likely to be wrong than I am right. Let's be real. I don't know anything. And I'm usually likely to be wrong. I'm not that intelligent. Bohurt, really, you're right. Pete.
Totally. We need more commentators on stuff. And maybe I don't know the technology, but maybe it is grabbing your guys' footage after an event and even dubbing a commentary over top of it.
Oh, you
put it up.
You mean the thing that Beth and I just did on Steel Tiger Media? Maybe people could go check out that. International, I've been summoned. Bear, what's up?
Yo, Bear.
Yeah.
You like my fireside chat, Bear?
Lance fireside chats would be a great stream if you're trying to add another thing to your
totally. Okay, so I sent you that thing about the stereo app. and it's like live podcasting, radio call-in show type thing. So it's just an app where you and me would start chatting, and then people can like call in and leave messages, and we take them on the air kind of thing.
All right, I gotta look into this. That sounds perfect.
Like I think that sounds like something that would be good for this event.
That sounds better than what I'm already doing.
Like when we're not needing to look at video and share stuff, like, and it could be just, you know, just calling during the middle of the day and talk for half hour even. Okay, like rather than sometimes we get into these furious text messages and like, let's just talk it out, and then other people can hear us and they can put in their feedback.
Oh man, this is a brilliant idea. All right, I'm gonna look into that. Yeah. Man, we're going super long.
Are we? We haven't even gotten into the good stuff.
I know. We're So I want to go back to that resurrection match though. Resurrection match. You would eat naked wrestling? Who wouldn't eat naked wrestling? So I'm worried about I love the idea of the resurrection match. I've pitched a few versions of that. I think that's a cleaner version than anything I've pitched. But how do we safely get people out of the list? I've never figured this out, and I don't know if you haven't either.
Okay, so it's that the back of the list, there's a 2 meter box, like a social distancing Corona size, for you Americans not knowing what a meter is. It's like 41 Timbits or something. So there's a 2 meter box at the back of the list.
I think everyone in bohurt
fighters can't go in, and you go there and report to your marshal, and you count to 10.
But how do you get? How do you get out of the list? So how do you get out of the list without breaking up the fighting, and also safely?
Or it's just you have a marshal watching each fight, and it's just you resurrect on the spot, and it's just no camping.
So maybe
people are not allowed to hit the fighter that they just took out.
And maybe you can't stand.
And they get back up.
Maybe you can't stand until the marshal taps you. You've been counted.
Yeah,
maybe
that could totally be. But then you have problems of the marshal was too slow getting to me. I could have totally got up and made a kill, but it took him 5 seconds to res me. And then it's 2.9, 3.5. We don't want marshals. We just need marshals to actually be taking score, and they get up.
Yeah,
and it's just you have one marshal watching each fighter.
Yeah. I think there's something there. I'm gonna try to write up an alternative rule set for March, since that's a cool thing I'm trying to do, and no one is taking advantage of.
Wouldn't a resurrection match hurt team's ability to do 5? There's 5 at bottom.
You're getting trolled, Land. Getting trolled. You gotta feed the troll. You gotta feed it. You gotta feed the troll, Land.
It's just gonna make you so much stronger that you won't fall. You just don't want to sit down, and you're just gonna grind harder.
I mean, if you get kicked in a sword and shield match, you'll just be that much better at sword and shield because you're stronger. And
no,
you're better at blocking new things. Anything you can block anything. Stop inventing new rules sets. We already have.
I'm inventing a format, not a rule set. You missed the nuance earlier.
Kill the King is still a cool idea. Yeah, it is, Pete. I may try to run an event if I can't find someone else to do it, which is a Kill the King tourney. I think I'm going to try to make this happen. Six-man teams. 6-man teams. Your 6th man is the king. That person has to be the king the entire tournament. Standard brackets. Work your way up. If your king dies, you're out for that round. If the rest of your team dies, you're out for that round. Unless it's just the 2 kings up, and then you have a king on king match.
So at our tournament in the Grand Northern Tourney, which you have told me you were going to attend in the past but never showed up, we often like to do little fun games at the end kind of thing. And so we did one time where there's 2 guards for the king and then marauders in the woods. And it was the king is walking by himself, with just like a page, like one of the kids that was there helping out, and the guards are distracted behind. So the kid, once he spots the dudes coming running out of the woods, has to call for them. The guards have to run up, and guards can keep resurrecting, but the king has to be killed, kind of thing.
Oh man, that sounds way too complicated for me to do in Steel. I could do that in Boffer or in Rattan.
Well, I get a difference.
I just get way dumber in Steel.
We also had like you had to steal like the food. We're carrying like a wagon with like all these archery animal targets.
Yeah.
And the marauders had to come steal off of this trailer, and we had to fight them off.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Alternative rule sets are great. Alternative formats.
Different format matches.
Alternative formats. Yeah, there's, I mean...
But we still used, like, we're like, these are IMCF rules, or this is an HMB rules. So,
I mean,
like, these type of weapons are legal, and these type aren't.
It is, but it isn't. So that's the thing, like, what's the difference between a format change and a rule change? With, like, you're changing the victory condition, that's still a rule change.
Yeah.
So, like...
But I think it's the, like, how... It's the, like, the technical and the safety.
I mean, the safety rules are the same in Sword and Shield, right? Because it's safe to kick people in our sport, so that's allowed, right? And punching to the face is safe. We allow it in melees and in pro fights, so the safety rules are fine. And it's not really a technical thing. The shield's still the same shape. Your boot doesn't change if we allow kicks versus we don't allow kicks. Maybe you put Sabatons on, but if it's HMB, you got to put them on anyway. So like,
hey. Do kicks from those like those Price Falcon like steel-toed boots, does that make a difference?
You're probably, every time you kick, you probably hurt your soul because you realize how much you overpaid. Every single time your wallet yells at you. All in all, where you keep your kills as teammates until you die yourself. Oh, all in all, Warlord. Oh my god. That's wild. Wait, what's up? How's it going? Yeah, we're still going strong though. Yeah, I love this resurrection idea. I would love to see someone try to implement it. I'm gonna write up my version and no one will run it.
I'll try and find the video from when we did it at practice because I think I have that still.
Cool. Have fun weekend events, boot camps.
No, there needs to be more training camps.
I mean, we're seeing them pop up. We're seeing them pop up.
What do you think? Do you think it's have a training camp and then a mini tournament, or have a mini tournament then the training camp?
I think training needs to come first. I think training needs to come first.
Yeah.
Okay. You agree?
Yeah, that's what I think it is too.
Yeah.
But there's like some people are like, well, I'm not going to try as hard in the training camp because don't want to get injured for the tournament. And I think part of that is we just need to have more events so people don't put as much emphasis on each time they have an event.
Yeah,
right?
And I don't think training events, I think they should be, even if you're going to do like a standard 5v5 tournament, which like, why? Like do something cool. But like, even if you are going to do that, you need to make it clear it's just for fun. Like don't allow club teams. Mix everyone up. Because you want people to be doing new things and practicing their training. And training camps should be a fun environment. You should be learning and enjoying the sport while you go there. And, we shouldn't try to make it like go to this training camp and then fucking hardcore out. No, you go to the training camp and you fucking... And like, if you go to an MMA seminar... and then you spar afterwards, you're usually not trying to knock the dude's head off. You're just like having a fucking technical sparring match.
I like that idea of like that it's then just like mixed, made on the spot teams kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that because then that you won't fall into old habits with your club mates, right? It'll allow you to want to try those new things that you just learned.
Bro, I cannot talk about how much I'm into the idea of mixing up teams. Just in general, like that's what's gonna make how you find out who the best fighters are, really, and that's how you'll find out who has good synergy, right? Like, perhaps like I have good synergy with a bunch of the Knights Hall guys, but perhaps me and fucking Sean Hansen from Texas, because we're both fast dudes, are gonna work great together, better than anyone could be. Or maybe we won't because we do the same job, but maybe you put him into the Knights Hall lineup, and all of a sudden it's 16. Yeah, like. or like, and maybe I end up working better with the warlords than he does. Like, who fucking knows? And the only way to find it out is switch those fucking lineups. So like
So when you guys would do your like Striking Eagles tryouts, was it you would stay in your team, right?
Tryouts.
Like there was no mixing there, really.
So there was
like, stay in your chapter.
Yes.
And be observed.
The region showed up, and then the people who were trying out for the Eagles got pulled out from the regional teams. So the regional teams got handicapped.
Right.
And then you put them without really ever working them together. You put them together on this team, and then send them out, and then judge them on how well they did. And then if they try anything new, you're like, how dare you practice new techniques? How dare you try new tactics? You need to smash these people who are on our team. In this tournament where everyone else is trying their hardest, like, it's not a scrimmage. It wasn't tryouts. It wasn't anything like tryouts. Holy fuck, the chat blew up. I'm not reading all of this.
There's nothing super great to like pull out.
Okay. I love you all.
People are excited in the idea of like backyard drafts and thinking about, I agree, Royalty, that like we need to just start like putting our effort into letting different clubs run events and like they bid for them and supporting them rather than just like the same clubs always having to host stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's like, you know, if the Knights Hall's not hosting it, maybe it's the New York is, but the Knights Hall has expertise. They can like help them build their community, you know, and support them.
Yeah. I mean, we tried real hard. I used to drive down. Jay did seminars there. Kat did seminars there. I used to drive down once a month. I go to Philly fairly regularly. Josh comes up. We go down there. Yeah. Like, that's a thing that's happening on the East Coast. Craig's traveling to Warlords, so it's definitely happening there. I don't know if Dan's giving stuff out, but it's shit's new. So like, hopefully the reason he's doing other stuff local is because he's still building his scene, and once he's built it, he'll travel out. I
think so.
But yeah,
building that base.
Yeah, I think we're seeing more training camps. I think we got to see a lot more of switching teams out. Drafting, the Knights Hall has done for the 3 teams that like train there. The 2 New Hampshire teams and the 1 Mass team. It's basically like made up of people who all train at the Knights Hall. So we've always done a draft every season, which and like. The coolest, it's cool because you switch your team and you get to fight with new people, but it's also cool because you get to like watch people fight for first draft pick, and that's always fucking amazing.
So where's your guys' growth at? Like, are you should you soon be 4 teams there? Like, what's or is it like hanging on to people? Like you're starting getting new people in, but people are trailing out.
We're having that, and we've also run into an issue where. When we first started, we didn't have enough people, so just everyone fought everyone. And then we had people who got good and new fighters, and we didn't really figure out a way of separating them. And the downside to us going as ham as possible, it makes the people who survive a lot better, but not that many people make it through. So
like our big challenge that we need to figure out is how do we support the people that want to be top level athletes and the people that want to be hobbyists.
Bear and I keep talking about this, and like this keeps popping off everywhere. Yeah.
But like the thing is, the people that want to be top level athletes are the people that are doing the organizing. Like you need that hobbyist that wants to organize the beer league.
I think
is the problem.
I think we're starting to see a little bit more like that, and also we're seeing some hard. We're seeing some hard, sweaty, try hard types like Kat's doing a lot to push a more open environment of people at every level. People who just want to fight foam but fight it in a bohurt style. We're trying to make that an option locally, and Kat's really pushing that.
I always say with my clubs, I'm like, if you just want to come and swing a sword now and then, like I value you being here just as much as the guy that wants to go Europe. Like there is no like. Picking and choosing, but it's hard when I go to a practice and like, you know, how do you balance giving everyone what they need? And like, I guess you do it in martial arts. Like, you know, I go to my judo dojo and like they're doing the same stuff for me as they are for the brown belts. They're trying to get their black belt, like,
yeah.
I mean, you just gotta try and catch up.
I think part of it is we need to be more open, and the Knights Hall is doing a great job at doing that, of creating a space for white belts and people who just want to come in and be white belts. So either you're a white belt working your way to black, or you're a white belt who is going to stop at blue and be happy there.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But like another part is that we need to be aware there is a difference and just know that sometimes you need to separate. My buddy, one of the guys who started training at the gym, is an MMA fighter. And at one of the gyms he used to go to, it was a family gym, right? So it had all of the guys who they brought their kids, they did the karate classes, they had fun. And then there was like 7 dudes who were fucking badasses who just wanted to fight. And they would go and teach and work with the people, and then they'd go off on their own side. And people were just very clear, like, no, you don't go over there unless you really want to get your ass kicked. And I don't know how to do that and not be exclusionary, because it is exclusionary by nature, but there's a way to make it happen, and that's what we need to really figure out, so that people go, yeah, I'm happy where I'm at, unless I'm willing to go fucking take it.
And that's the thing, is like, hobbyists could sometimes just like a switch will turn one day and they're like, no, I am ready to take it to the next level, right?
Yeah.
And we need to be open to that. I think like we, I don't know, like the Wolves were getting big enough that I was like, I wanted to make like an A team and like make that people want to be on that, but then want to support the B team just as much, like, so they don't feel left behind.
Right? That's right where we're at with the Knights Hall.
And I think where it is just like us actually getting coaches in this sport.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we keep saying it. We keep saying it. Speaking of,
sport's too young.
It is. That's a big thing. Like Knights Hall. Speaking of, I don't know if this is Kat, Jay, who's ever running the Twitch right now. They're saying we need numbers to make this shit viable, and like that's how we're gonna get coaches. That's how we're gonna get the phone league. Devanovic.
So I think youth.
Hold on, I'll get back to that. Devanovic
is Darcy, right? We saw him on Saturday, I think. I think he's one of the new fighters on Vancouver Island.
How are you so good at remembering names? Don't you get hit in the head as much as I do? Oh, you probably block.
I'm terrible with remembering names. Oh, no. Have you seen my helmets? Like, okay, so Alexi from Anavera, like, I got a brand new Griffin top helm for the year I did Botan and IMCF, like, back to back. And at IMCF, he was like, I have never seen a helmet so injured. Please let me take it back to its maker to be reborn.
It's so good.
It's because I'm always blocking like my brother,
Like, don't hit him.
Yeah, this is my brother. Stop it.
Are you the older brother?
No, I'm the baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why are you protecting
my brothers?
Brothers? You have another brother? You've told me this multiple times. I don't know why I can't remember this.
So we have Forrest, and I call him the priest because he's the one that doesn't fight, and always the firstborn in like medieval times would become a priest kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Lake, and then my brother Sky as well. Sky kind of came in later. When we got into the sport, he was dating a girl that like didn't really let him do things. And so now his new partner is super wonderful and supportive of him playing with us.
Yay! That's awesome. Anyway,
So like that's why Spain was gonna be so important, because this was gonna be the first time the 3 brothers went to the same event together. Yeah, because like Lake went to Botan with me, Sky went to Scone. Yeah, it's tough.
All right. Well, it'll happen next.
So Devanovic was saying
catching up is steep for the new guys. And that was the problem that we saw when we had smaller numbers. But now that we're getting a little bit bigger, it's not as bad, because we can do more things where you just pair people who are at that level together. You can have a blue belt tournament. That's what Rookie Rumble is. Speaking of, shouts out Rookie Rumble. Everyone should go to that. Everyone should support that. It's gonna be dope. And maybe that's a thing Canada needs to get on. I don't know, like, who's gonna put that
our
shit on.
Our problem is like, our country's so big and it's so expensive flying within Canada.
Is it?
That's why probably we are so like, flying from Yukon to here, it's not that much more to fly to Europe.
Whoa.
Kind of thing.
That's
right?
terrible.
Yeah. So like that's where it's tough.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's hard to even hold those national events to convince people we need to do trials. And then those people are then going to have to fly to Europe, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard.
It's super hard. I understand. Like we always had that problem in the ACL, where like we had to go to like 6 events before we go, and like it wasn't the level of it cost me the same as a plane ticket to go out west as it costs to go to Europe, but it's still an extra $500 on the top of the $2,000 I'm spending to Europe.
But so the thing to save it is just to keep building the sport and like building outposts all over.
Perfect segue. How do we do that, Land, Mr. Amazing Edit?
Okay, so I'm the one behind like the IMCF Team Canada page, and people all the time like, hey, how do I do this sport? I have a map of Canada with pins in it of like people wanting to do the sport, but then they're like 16 hours away from the nearest team. So I'm like, here's stuff you could get started. I'll help you start building a team, kind of thing, if you want. But if you could ever travel, this would be the place. Or like, I'm driving across Canada actually this summer. Can I stop in and meet with you? Like, I helped a team get started in BC when I was on like a road trip with my family, and they just came. These 3 people came and met me in a campground, and I went through my armor with them.
So that's the part of it, because we have Night Finder. I think it needs to get updated, but like we have the map and the pins and all that shit. But you just talked to 3 people. This is my
personal map of people that are interested. This isn't where the teams are. This is me keeping track of every time somebody pings me.
So you have a separate map.
And so, yeah. And so, like, it was funny. Like, so before I knew I was moving to Halifax a couple months beforehand, I was like, okay, there's enough critical mass in Atlantic Canada. I'm going to make a group and bring these people together that are interested in the sport. I had like 15 people. I'm like, you're in New Brunswick, you're PI, you're in Nova Scotia. You guys start talking. Here are things to start building a club. So I already started laying the groundwork before I came here, not knowing I was coming here.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah. So it's like, trying to talk to as many people, be connected, and like know all the people everywhere to then help them.
So like,
but also, it's like when you're in a community, it's getting out to everything. And I know like you guys have been stuck in like, do we do Ren fairs and how are we portrayed? But like, I would run our tournament in the North on Canada Day weekend so that we could walk in the Canada Day parade in armor and like hand out flyers about our event and like show it off. Like roller derby events, we would do the halftime show there because people that watch people playing roller derby are going to like people hitting each other with swords and axes, right?
So,
like,
can I pause first? No, keep going.
No,
it sounded like you were about to rap, so I don't want to stop you right before rapping.
But I was just saying, like, getting out to every possible weird place so people can see it. Like, okay, a fundraiser we would do is our grocery store lets teams do bagging grocery store tips kind of thing. So we would do that wearing part of our armor and then just talk about the sport to people. So I might not recruit grandma, but she's going to go home and talk to her grandson about this and be like, hey, did you know this is a thing you can do? Because that's what's like holding us back is people just don't know it's a thing they can do. And pretty much everyone you talk to is like, I can play with swords and axes. I want to do that.
So we've done derbies, we've done Ren fairs, and this never been we've got some stuff, but it's never been the best recruiting. Like we got our best recruiting through just doing a shit ton of events that are our events. And like,
well, yeah. And I think once you have that, critical mass, I think that's a good thing. But how are you getting out to like the community to know that that's even an event they can go to?
I mean,
one of the things that I thought was super cool was when we went to iTalk in 2016, Brad Shivey had a truck with a TV on it that was driving around town playing footage and promoting the event. And like, so there was like 1,000 people at that arena to watch those fights kind of thing. Like, so like getting it out there just to people to know what it is. And I think it's like those little events help more of those micro interactions for people to make more of a connection with it. Because we're competing with Reddit. Like everybody, like everyone can just sit and play on the internet instead of coming and playing sword fighting, right?
Right.
So we need to be there for them. Like let them know this is the thing. You should come do this.
I mean, that's the thing though. Like we like, I don't know how we get people. I think we did a little bit of Facebook ads to come to our events, but like mostly we just did the events and word of mouth. Is my understanding. And like Kraken used to pull a bunch of people to his events in Philly, or in South Jersey. Basically just by saying I'm doing this and talking about it in the bar occasionally. But like they never really went out and did big like fundraiser things that I know about. Like, and I just don't. It never appears. Maybe we didn't keep good enough data, but like, so maybe my numbers are off. I can't consult my.
Did you bring your PowerPoint? You're quoting numbers.
I'm not quoting numbers. I'm explicitly not. But like I don't know. Like I know one dude that we recruited through that, as opposed to just like being around.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. It's always felt like a lot of work that we got so little gain out of. And I don't know why that works for you.
It's just that I try hard. Like, so when we got our training space, like, you know, we had like a training gym in the Yukon a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
I think probably 2017 kind of thing. I would regularly message people being like, hey, are you coming to practice tonight? You know, because it's Tuesday night. Like every Tuesday night we have practice. Because like trying to people like the competition of things, like just having to be on people and reminding them and getting them to form that habit of wanting to come out. Like, you know, you guys have good classes and stuff, and I think that helps you. But like,
I mean, that's what
just like when people get interested, like I'm a dog with a bone. Like, so Santos, one of the war pigs, he out in California, somehow through him, I connected to this guy who is like interested in getting into sword fighting. I called that guy. I talked to him for an hour while I worked out and just explained to him about the sport. Like I just will like, once I get someone interested, I'll try and connect with them and like give them verbal diarrhea.
Okay.
About the sport.
So it's anytime you get like a hint, you dive in.
I'm in there.
All right. So I don't know how to make that useful advice to people, but I guess be super charming and then super persistent. And like it's from an organizational.
So like, you know, when I was in university, like it took like months to finally convince this girl to start dating me. And so same with my roommate, and we wanted to cross stitch like persistence pays off and hang that in our room, you know. I think that's still the same thing.
How about events with HEMA? I would love to do events. Sorry, I would love to do events with HEMA, but that requires two things.
I don't think they want to do events with us.
And possibly with good reason, because a bunch of our people are shitty to them too. Like, there is so much bad blood between the groups for no reason. And like, I get the people in bohurt.
Any kind of sword fighting is good sword fighting. Yeah. Like, anything with sword fighting, any kind of practice is still going to be good and help you. Like, if HEMA's what's around, go do HEMA until you can build your bohurt club.
Yeah, the only valid critique of HEMA is that they sometimes are shitty to other groups, which is the only valid critique of basically any standard like fight thing. There may be a specific group that is full of toxic pieces of shit, but like the SCA as a general thing, the only real thing is sometimes they're shitty to other groups. LARP as a general thing, sometimes they're bohurt as a general thing, sometimes they're shitty to other groups. Like all of us, we're all shitty to other nerds, and we need to stop. Sword nerds are sword nerds. Let's fucking get together and do sword shit. Swords are cool.
Bohurt is love.
Yeah.
Bohurt is love. Let's go share that love.
Yeah. Philly has one of those plastic sword leagues, and they don't want to do things, and they don't want us to do things with them. Exactly. Kraken's talking about this league that doesn't want to do things, and then Roller Derby didn't want him to show up for the halftime show because they're not going to bring enough of a crowd. So, like, I don't know how to...
It's just trying to find like any kind of random event and to get that self-promotion out there, you know. And like one of the things that I always thought would be really good is like when there's a UFC fight night, pair up with a bar so that when there's a shitty card, do a pro fight in the bar or in the parking lot of the bar.
Or like as a fucking prelims. Like no one likes watching the prelims.
Yeah, like I've never watched the UFC thing. I don't actually know. Like I don't know what a card is. I'm just using these words because I guys throw them around. But that's why I figured. Like I'm like, people pay extra money to go to bars to watch UFC. So why don't we go to some fights there as well? Because they're gonna like to see that, right?
I think part of it is less the cool ideas, because like obviously you have great ones, and I would love if you like wrote down, hey, these are all the ideas I've had. Take them, people, so like people could go to find a central place of it. But other people,
Central bohurt repository. That's an interesting idea.
Speaking of, startfighting.info is one that I'm going to start.
That's where I was going to go.
Is what I'm definitely.
Did you read his article today about you're in a desert?
He posted it on
I think it was great.
He posted it on the way to the gym, so I didn't have a chance to read it yet. Yeah, and then I got here 5 minutes before we started, so I gotta go read that. But I love his project, and I'm definitely gonna start pimping that. Bohurt, Pete, that's a great idea. I hope someone puts that together. But here's the real. I think the real difference is that you are acting as a community manager, almost, right? Like you are taking on this role of connecting people and checking out and managing. Like you manage this page and you actively interact with all of the people. And I don't know that there's anyone in that role in the US. And so that's a thing that maybe we need to find.
Oh wait, because there's like 50 armored combat 3 acronym.
Doesn't matter.
Groups. It's that like splintering constantly, and like we need to just go and delete a bunch of groups.
That's great. We should. Let's delete the AMCF. Let's delete HMB, and let's delete ACW. Sounds great.
And ACS, and just have like medieval combat.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea, Lynn. Let's just add a new one.
But delete all the others.
Yeah, that's. Have you read the XKCD about that? About standards? We need one standard to clean it. There's 18 standards. We need one standard to clean it up. There's 19 standards. We need one standard to clean it up. That's just never gonna fly. We all know it. I think
Bohurt Gorilla. I think the problem with that is that like it sounds cool, but then people's feelings get hurt because our sport ends up drawing people away. Like we would do a tournament at a medieval fair, and we would draw away from the jousting. And that's supposed to be the big thing, so like a big event of all those sword things would be challenging.
It would be, because there's pride. Everyone's got pride.
Yeah.
And like I think,
and I don't understand that. I don't understand egos. That's why I'm so confused in this sport, because there's so many egos and I don't get it.
Oh man,
I don't have one.
My pride is like the thing, so I get it. But like you also have to know how to put your pride aside. And like that's the thing a lot of people don't know how to do. But I think it's a great idea, Pete. I think someone should get on it. Perhaps you. But no, I think that's the big key, is that you are this community manager, and like maybe every league needs it, or maybe someone could step up and be like, I mean, Larry does a pretty decent job at doing it for all of the group. Like he passed people on to Josh back in the ACL when Josh didn't play anywhere else.
But that's the thing, is like we all want to do this sport, so if that's what's closest to them, give it to them.
Exactly,
because you gotta have a personal connection with them. Then down the road they might want to come see your version of this sport.
100%. And
that involves knowing, and that's why being connected to all the clubs and knowing who all the clubs are. So then I'm like, okay, you're in Quebec City. Okay, I'm going to point you to the Nordiques. Oh, you're on the borderland. So like maybe there's Skalgrams in Ottawa, or maybe you go to the Dogs or the Black Wolves. Like here are your options. Like,
right. I mean, if someone wanted to step up individually and run that, they could. And Larry's trying to, I think. But like every league should also do it. Every league should have their own version of that. That this person, their whole thing is they network, and they have that map you're talking about, the map of the interested people, not just our other map. And the other thing is I think we just need to be more persistent, because I definitely I don't talk to people about the sport at all. Like people say, like, do you fight with swords?
First rule of Sword Fight Club is tell everyone about Sword Fight Club.
So
my wife completely agrees, and she sees it like the Fight Club movie version, but she's wrong.
I'm with her. I agree with your wife, and this is why I'm a terrible ambassador of the sport, which I'm trying to work on, and I'm so bad at it. Because like, A, I don't want to talk to people anyway, and then B, like, I know so many people who they don't really care. Like my cousin asked me once, what's the difference between SCA and LARP, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter to you. It matters to some people, but not to you.
So when it doesn't ask you a question, Ringo, they're showing interest in your interests, and they want to hear something about it. And as nerds, our duty is to just go on over and over.
It's not though. So because I hate, like, I know that, like, as soon as I start talking about it, their eyes start to glaze, and I'm like, oh, you didn't actually care. You did the polite thing where you asked a question, and like, I don't want to play that game.
Talking to your cousin, but his friend who's standing nearby is actually listening and going.
Her friend.
Okay.
How dare you?
Her friend is standing nearby.
How dare you? I'm sorry. So her friend is standing nearby.
And hearing it and going, hey, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
It's like just broadcasting it, and it's like the focus of your like broadcast isn't actually the focus. It's like everywhere around you.
Yeah. And I see both that you have more success at it, and I kind of understand that idea. It's so hard for me, and it's a thing I gotta work on probably to be an ambassador of the sport, is like to just be willing to talk to these people who might be interested. Because like, I love talking about swords, but I love talking about swords with like people like you who I know fucking care. I hate talking about people who are just kind of into it. I think
what we need to come up with, and like Boris is heading there with startfighting.info, but is like, I've always wanted like a package that, like, I have like 2 guys in the middle of nowhere, Saskatchewan, that want to do it, that I can send. That's like bohurt 101, sort of rules, basics and stuff, basics about weapons and armor, where to get it, basics about fitness, and then basic drills kind of thing. Like, basically, like, here's a package so you can get going kind of thing.
I definitely think that's what it is, and I think
that's like my codified drill book that I want. Like, I just don't have the bandwidth to create this.
I don't think you have to. I think you're gonna get it in 3 places. I think Boris is one. I think Kraken's for like practice runners is your second. So Boris is startfighting.info. Kraken is South Jersey Pine Barrens.com.
WordPress.
Maybe a WordPress. I'm sorry, Kraken. Kraken, you need a better URL. I'm sorry. And Paul the Barbarian is putting out video content that's aimed at like new to middling level fighters. But like, there's
if you're a new to middling fighter listening to this, let us know what else you need.
Yeah.
So that we can share that with Paul.
Yeah, because I don't make good content.
He's doing the work for us.
Paul's trying to make stuff like that is, if you're in the sport and you've been in the sport, this is useful. Or if it's your first time in, this is useful. And my shit like kind of assumes you have a level of knowledge, which is not great, and I shouldn't, but I'm gonna. This is what I do. And then Alec and Bears is like, he assumes you have all the knowledge. We're gonna talk about this super technique. I'm gonna use a bunch of technical terms. You should know them.
He just throws around like judo words, and I think he actually just has like a list of judo words. He doesn't actually know what they are.
I believe it. Shots fired. Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway there, is that, and Woodchuck and Chuck Goodwin is making like the journey of a fighter, which is something I've always wanted to do, and I kind of did on my blog, but I started way late, and I never really kept up with it. So Goodwin's doing a much better version of the thing I sucked at. But I think that's the big difference. We need a land. Land, can you clone yourself and come down here, or can you just move to America? No, okay,
no.
That's valid.
Cloning could happen.
All right.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I do it in America as well. Like, I do like somehow get hits with random people, and I'll talk to them, and then I'll like send them off to like their nearest clubs as well. Or like and international. Like, you just see those like random like people saying, "Hey, what's this? I'm in this country. Oh, here's the person to go talk to."
What? There's a bunch of links in here. Land moved to South Jersey. Judo translations. The fuck is yeah. How do you feel about? This is completely off subject, but like we're going long anyway. We're at 2. This is the longest one I think I've done, man. You're just so easy to talk to.
It's the fire.
Woodchuck Knight was the link. Oh yeah, people gotta check him out. Oh, I should check my notes. Was there anything else I was supposed to cover?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, that's just extra shit that I'm gonna drop at like the very end. Okay.
We're good.
Yeah. So Pete brings up a good point. Like he needs a fucking judo translation, and like Bear is talking about he wants to use the proper words for it. Kat is saying he wants to use the judo words. And Brett from Warlords, and these are all high level trainers and high level fighters, and they're really pushing this. Let's use these established terms, but these words have no meaning to me, and I have to learn a whole new set of vocabulary, and like I have nothing to like place them to. Like Oshi, I think, Goshi, I think means a type of throw, but like no one's even explained that level, right? But like Ogoshi essentially, I'm getting these wrong. This is an example. Ogoshi means big hip. Yeah. Oh, cool. Hey, you know. So do you think we should use those terms, or do you think we should have our own terminology?
I think we should use the terms because I don't want to like fracture and make another rule set.
We should also
use. But the thing is, like, we're doing modified versions of these things, right. But that's the thing is that, like, what are we just gonna make up words for them? You know, like that. I don't know. Like, I think it is good to try and stick with those words that we already have, and that like there's an established like thing.
So I mean, like, this is the thing is it's established for like a very small minority, and like it's useful for those people, but like now we have to indoctrinate everyone with this new terminology, and we aren't doing the same thing. Like if we were doing the same thing, I would be back in, but we're not.
Yeah.
And like it's part of the reason why like I kind of like in HEMA I kind of don't like it, but I mostly don't care, especially because like they explain what everything is, and this is just a problem in the way we're teaching it. But like I know an Oberhau means an overstrike because that's what how means, right? And they explain what all these terms mean as we go through it. In every HEMA class I've gone to. And so I feel comfortable using those words because we walk through that basis. But most of us aren't learning judo from the ground up. So we're not learning what these words means. We're not learning that Goshi, is Goshi the hip or is O the hip? Goshi's got to be the hip.
Goshi.
Yeah, so we're not learning that Goshi means hip and O means big. We're just learning that Ogoshi is this hip toss. And we're not doing that hip toss.
But how is that any different than just like saying it's like a hip toss where you go deep with your hip?
You could say a deep hip toss, right? Like I mean, that's the thing is we can make our own words for them.
I'm a year into judo, and I still am like don't know the terms. Like it's hard.
In which case, like that right? To me, that means we definitely shouldn't use it if you're a year into it and you're still struggling.
But I also am like oblivious to the world.
Okay, well maybe not then. I just like to me like I personally just really wish we would come up our own or a system that like we either our own or a system that like was easily trans. So if we steal some judo, let's steal some very specific judo things that we can build off of, and people know like Ogoshi means big hip, and when we're doing this version of a Ogoshi, it's the small Ogoshi, and this is the giant. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. My point is like I just wish we could find a way to make the things connect. Because to me, I just hear a bunch of syllables strung together, and I go, I'm a dumb American.
So the idea with judo and why they stick to those words is then you have an international language. So like I can go somewhere and like do the sport with them kind of thing, right? And like the same thing in our sport. Like our sport's a very international thing. Like, so maybe we should find them in Ukrainian or Russian.
I was gonna say, should we learn the Sambo words then?
Yeah.
Because like I'm fine with the idea of the international words, right? Like I was watching this French MMA series on YouTube the other day, and like they kept saying, like, it might have been German. I don't know languages. It's not English, and then they kept
countries.
I don't. It didn't say the country. It just said this fighter versus this fighter, go, and then there's commentary that I don't understand. But every once in a while they'd be like double leg, guillotine, and they're dropping the words that everyone uses, and those words are they are standardized. And some of them are American words for wrestling, and some are judo words. So yeah, maybe we should go with the Sambo then, because like that's where we're from. But like, I'd like to or Knights Hall is talking. We could use the Ringan words, right? There is a terminology for a lot of this.
And so like my captain at home, Jose Muedo, he would do longsword technique, and he's from the German school, so it was always like learning like the German words for the guards and stuff like that.
Yeah. Kraken brings up he doesn't want to learn Oberhau, and like I'm kind of more of that school. Just the particular use of judo, I have even more of a problem with, because it just doesn't feel like we're doing the exact techniques. So we're not actually doing the thing, and we're not breaking it down. Blue JJ's. But
maybe that's just your club isn't thinking about grappling in that fashion, whereas like Warlords with Brett, they are. So then like people are learning that. Like
maybe
Dan puts out some videos now and then, like, here's an arm drag and this is how we're gonna do it. Like, so it's like, I think it's each club and how they're approaching the sport.
Sure. I mean, but like,
and it's again, their sport isn't standardized yet. So like some clubs are going to go judo heavy, and some clubs are going to just go two-hand little axe, like punch people like this with it.
But going judo heavy doesn't mean that you're learning judo from the ground up. Like, we have a judo instructor coming in, and he's teaching us judo in judo terms, and they still mean nothing to me. Much like you, your first year in. Like, so I don't think it's just the fact that you are going judo heavy. It's the fact that we're not being taught it in a systematic way. And a lot of stuff don't. Like, so BJJ doesn't teach in a systematic way. You just learn the guards as you go, which works for what they're trying to do. So, like, he says De La Hiva, and I'm like, all right, that means a thing, and I see it 6 times. Okay, it's one of those 6 movements he did, but I know those 6 movements, so I'll do them. And eventually, you start putting some of them together. And I think judo kind of, from what I've seen, judo works the same way. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they do have a systematic thing, in which case we need to steal it. Right, because Hema did do that. Hema did make a fairly systematic, like, here's an Oberhau. And, like, the fight instructors from the time did it, too. Like, they break stuff down very systematically. Probably because they had to. Man, I'm so behind on this chat.
Kraken, I did no martial arts before this sport. Like, my name's Land. I'm from a hippie family. There was no fighting. Like, it's very...
And now there's 3 fighters. It's so good.
We did, like, endurance sports. And so, like, having to, like, I've changed my body physique a lot for this sport, too. Right? Like, I used to hate going to the gym, but now I have to do this because I need to be able to, like... The dream would be to, like, do one of those, like, fireman throws of a dude, right?
Yeah. Kraken says as much as he's against it, it will end up being the judo terms. I don't think that's true. It might be. I don't think we're at the point where that's over, especially because, like, we don't know that that's the Ukrainian meta, and that's what drives a lot of what's happening, right? And they're probably Sambo, and those are probably different terms. There's probably judo terms in there because it has a basis in either judo or jiu-jitsu. I forget how far back it goes. Much like BJJ still has a couple of jiu-jitsu terms. Fury and Vadi have different terms for the same thing in Italian. Yeah, that's the Italians. The German school was different. The Italians are crazy. But yeah, like, I think in general we should be trying to make stuff a little bit easier access. And I don't think when our sport's already so hard and there is so much technical knowledge, I don't think adding another layer like, hey, you need to become a fucking, purple belt in judo.
But nobody's asking that. Like, it's just that, like, Bear is using these words in his streams.
But, like, so Kraken's thing, the people who can teach those skills already know and use those terms. The people teaching this are using those terms, and that makes it hard, especially, like, if you're in a desert and you need to figure this out. Like, Pete said, I need a fucking...
But that becomes much easier because you're, like, being given those terms, and you go to TikTok and you look up OG Gary, and you get a ton of videos.
I can't spell any of the things they've ever said. Any of them. Not a single one.
Just go Google and it'll get like, this is close. And it'll help you figure it out.
Maybe. But Pete, I don't know what you mean by my channel needs a number one, but like, I see this cool cheery thing. I think that's good. So thank you for cheering, I think. It gave you a number one. So good for you. Is that what you meant? I don't know. It's way past my bedtime though. This chat was amazing. Thank you for Fireside Chats.
I don't know. I hope that people got something from it.
I think they did. I do want to do a chat where you call in while you're running. Maybe I'll do a workout as well, and we can both do a workout chat.
Well, that's what, like, you'll see. You're not that active, I guess, on Facebook, but I'll randomly
put
out like
off Facebook completely.
Yeah, I'll put out like, hey, who wants to join me at Temple tonight? Because like I like to just talk to people on the phone while I do my lifting. And so then I have like an hour in my gym where I just like talk to people.
Oh man, that thing you were talking about, the app. That's
stereo.
what we're gonna do it. We're gonna call it like lifting sessions or whatever, and that's our podcast. Cool, that's happening.
Totally.
We're starting that.
All right. Okay, cool.
And I will never make any of the sessions because you do them at like 3 a.m.
An hour ahead of you. It should help.
So thank you so much for coming on. I'm adding a new thing where I and my guest each recommend something. So I'm gonna go. Oh, you're going first. I have that. That was what I was. Fuck you. I have one with a message in it that I wrote for you.
Yeah. So I very much am a sport-focused person. Like, I believe in this as a sport. I'm not here to necessarily like do reenactment and all that sort of stuff, like go to court. But this book is like how I feel, how it would be if we were playing our sport back in that time. Like, I feel there's like a really good like transportation to there. And it's like, this is not your Victorian knights. This is like the shitty, gritty, like, knights are not actually good people sometimes kind of thing.
Not at all.
And so like, I find Ill-Made Knight by Christian Cameron to be a really great representation of the time that most of us recreate with our armor. And I think it's super fantastic. And I wish I just had a box of these so I could give them to everyone.
You should do that. You should do that.
I sent out 6 or 7 copies already. Ideally I would like buy it and write in it and give it to you, but instead now I'm like buying it and sending it to people and like giving people ideas of what they should write in it.
Here's what I think you should do. You should buy at least 5. See if you can get them on bulk. Maybe contact Hannah. Like, she knows book people.
Well, I kind of reached out to the author. He's like a super like snobby reenactment guy. Like, he wrote a really critical article about bohurt a while ago. That was like, oh, that takes you down. But I chatted with him a bit and kind of talked about how like I give this book to lots of people in our sport and how it'd be great to just have a box of them to hand out, hoping, fishing like, hey, I'll hook you up. He didn't bite.
No, I'm sure he didn't. That said, like, buy some, and when you go to events, that's what you should do. Hand them out at events. I think, do you remember, I don't know if people still do it, but I saw it less the last time I went international. But remember, like, how, like, that was a big thing? People traded their gear and their tabards.
Like, did I ever give you one of the Wolves favors?
No.
So we made...
You did.
It's like I'm sure that I did, and you probably lost it.
That's way more likely.
But it was a maple leaf, like a laser cut out of MDF, like maple leaf with a wolf, like a white wolf over it. And so that was like we would have those to like hand out, and I'd give them to people that I did duels with and stuff like that, or to special people like you. And
Ringo
no, actually, I don't think we really interacted much internationally.
Denmark a little bit, but
I was busy saving Lilith from the rest of the Americans.
Yeah, she needed it. That would be cool. I will send mine out when I'm done. Yeah, I want to back up everything he said. I'm fucking loving it. I haven't made it through because I suck at reading. But
an audiobook, people, if you need, like, it's just like a great, fun story.
It's real good.
There's there might be a fifth book now, and they get more political intrigue, but there's still really good stuff in there. But this one, just as a standalone, is wonderful.
So I need to come up with a different recommendation. Fuck. I'm gonna no. Those are my shoutouts that I have later. Why would you do this to me? I'm not prepared anymore.
Like connected.
What was the last book I just read? Audiobook. I'm gonna recommend that.
Why don't you recommend a drill?
No, because I'm giving a thing. I'm already doing a training thing later.
I want more.
Oh, you know what I'm going to recommend? I'm going to recommend Fight Tips YouTube. This is what been my favorite YouTube for learning about fighting. It's just a dude, Shane Fazin. He's not like, I don't actually think he ever went pro, but he loves fighting. He loves talking about it. He probably doesn't give the greatest advice, but it's good, solid advice, and he makes it very easy for you to learn. And it's really just meant for the fighters trying to be fighters. It's not bohurt focused, but there's a lot you can take and use from it, and it's just the way he breaks down fighting is so good. So my recommendation is YouTube is Fight Tips. Right. And then
so Kraken, I do buy that book sometimes for new teams and send it to them for them to pass it around amongst themselves is the idea. So like you're saying Ringo should send his out after?
I will. I'm gonna. I also want to put out a training challenge. This is the thing I'm going to start doing. At some point this week, I want everyone in this chat to go out and do your PAL routine with your offhand. Right? If you don't normally do your PAL with your offhand, just do it once. If you do anyway, do it. Post it up on Instagram, post it up on TikTok, on Facebook, send it to me. If you want to tag me, you can, but like it's not about viral shit. Just I think it's very useful to just get used to using your offhand, not because you're gonna ever switch, but just to understand kind of how it feels and to see those angles.
It might unlock something, right? You might like realize, oh, if I'm doing this, like, and then it'll be like a trigger to figure out how to do something better with the other hand.
Exactly. And like also especially like
it's okay, Bear, don't worry, you don't have to,
especially in Sword and Shield. Your left hand, your offhand, your shield hand is offensive, but we don't think about how well we can use it, right? We think about a punch, that's about it, right? You think more, and using your sword in that will make you a little bit more dexterous with that hand, and you might find, oh hey, I can do a drop punch, oh hey, I can find this way to make this hook work. Scoops, whatever. Especially if you have a buckler, those are very agile. So do something in your offhand and tag me if you want to or something. I don't care. Is shit going crazy in the chat?
No, Pete's just saying you have to do it hungover as challenge number 2.
That's so good.
Bear thinks that this is the worst idea ever.
Okay.
But this will be how you beat him. It's because you did not realize I'm not left-handed. Then your pro fight changes.
Not to drop fucking knowledge, Bear, stop listening. He's not gonna stop listening. If I think I'm super up, I'm definitely switching hands. Or if I think I'm super losing, I'm switching hands. Like if it's close, I'm not gonna. But like if it's either way, I'm definitely going crazy. Like if I know I'm just getting blown out, I'm gonna have some fun with it. Or if I think I'm blowing him out and be like, Count and Coup, what's up? Bro, if you switch hands with me, I'm gonna kill myself. Okay. That's it. Thank you, Lan, for coming on. This was amazing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. So much thank you to my subscribers and everyone who's backing me on Patreon. Thank you the 2 people subscribed, bohurt and bohurt Gorilla Pete and Pink Pounder for my new subscribers. Thank you so much. And everyone who's been, supporting me on this. It's great. Don't really make a lot, but it does help pay a little bit for like some of the technical stuff, like the new iPad.
Like the lights that keep flashing right now?
That's the camera adjusting to this ring light. I don't know how to make my camera better. I'll probably buy a new camera with the money you guys are giving me, and then you'll see my sweaty fucking flushed face better, which is exactly what you want. Anyway, check me out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all Trash Night. Also, please check out Paul the Barbarian, particularly on YouTube. He's got great stuff out there. He's also on Facebook. Bear Blackspear on YouTube. His breakdowns are highly, highly technical and very good. Steel Tiger Media on Twitch and YouTube. And please back that Kickstarter. I know people are thinking it may not help them locally. He is planning on traveling. He is planning on getting stuff to everyone, helping that out. So, like, this helps the whole community. If you have $5, just like in the same way we all threw some money together for Paul, we can put $5 for this. I really think.
Just don't buy a coffee tomorrow. Give it to this guy.
Yeah. $1.
Pete, you put it the wrong way. The alligator eats the other one.
Throw $1, please. That's that's it for my shout outs. Lan, do you have anything you want to plug?
No, just get out there and keep working out. It's super hard during this time, but make little fitness challenges in your group. Like, find ways to do it. Include a mental health thing that gives you days off. Like, if you're doing challenges that are like 30 minutes a day of any activity, but if you're like making a mental health goal, maybe you get a couple of free days.
Yeah, that's
great. What we just did.
Also, we need to talk about mental health way more in this fucking community. We do not. Nearly enough.
Dude, I think because of us like beating the shit out of each other, it like makes it so we don't store emotions in our bodies as much. And I find men in our sport are a lot more open to their emotions.
I've seen that to be true with some men.
I
don't know if overall it's a general thing. Someone should do a survey. Asher, if you're watching, that's you. If you're not, I'll message you later on Facebook.
What's the question? Do you cry when you watch The Notebook?
Probably. It's a great one. Also, who watches The Notebook?
I don't know. It was the first thing that came to my mind. I've never actually seen it.
Jesus, Twilight or get the fuck out.
I was crying during Cobra Kai the other night. Leave me alone. My wife looks over and she's like, "Really? Again?"
All right, I'm not following any of the chat right now. I hope you guys are fucking killing it in there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Peace, and I'll see you in the list. Thank you, Land. We out.